CastGarden is a Web3 podcast hosting platform where you can grow, monetize, and syndicate unlimited audio. Ken Code is founder and developer at CastGarden. So hello, Ken. Welcome to Startup Podcast. We're very happy to have you.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm actually very curious and I'm actually very interested with CastGarden because it's a Web3 podcast hosting platform. I'm actually also interested to try it out. So let me ask you, Ken. So what is CastGarden?
CastGarden is a Web3 podcasting host. So if you're looking into getting into podcasting or you just need a free place to host your podcast, whether it be audio, video, or even live streams, check it out. So if you go to cast.garden, that is the website for it. And we got more information about it on there, of course, and I'll help to explain it a little bit here on this podcast too. So, but it really, Web3 is where it's at when it comes to CastGarden. And we have a motto, no more walled gardens. So we can get more into that if you like, but I mean, that's really what the problem that we have solved.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask first about that. I mean, later we can talk about podcasting host. Of course, in Startup Podcast, we have a podcast host. But let me ask first about that. Let me ask first about Web3, about decentralization, and actually about Agorism. I think CastGarden is like your Web3 project, which is under like is it a brand name, Agorise? So what's Agorise? What's Agorism, and like what's the philosophy? Why are you doing this? Why are you like building a Web3 podcasting host? Web3 podcast hosting platform?
Yeah, Agorise is the name of the company. It was founded on the basic principles of agorism, which agorism is just a form of anarchy where you actually become an activist, where you do everything you can to basically render the state obsolete. So fighting these powers to be is more or less impossible because they have unlimited resources. So the best way to do this is to build systems like Web3 systems that renders the state obsolete. So we no longer need to be in their walled garden anymore or under their control and stuff like that. So basically what Web3 is technologically is it's a system. I more or less think of it as the new internet.
Yeah.
Okay, so an internet that can't be stopped. It can't be censored, filtered, or shut down. If you have a website, for example, or a podcast, you want to be unstoppable, right? You want your stuff hosted out there on the internet forever that nobody can take down or ban your income or shut down your account or shadow ban your content, stuff like that. So what Web3 does is it completely decentralizes the file system. So where your files are actually stored, when you upload your files to a server, they're usually sitting on some guy's server or some company's server, right? And they can shut you down anytime they want. But if you upload your content to a place where as soon as it's accessible by the public, it's now being immediately distributed and saved on multiple computers worldwide. So it's like, think of sharding or think of chopping up a file into little pieces. And all of those little pieces of your podcast or the content for your website, for example, can now be served to the consumer, the listener of your content, right? From multiple, what we call peers or seeders. Remember the days of Napster? Remember, Napster had seeders and leechers. Well, seeders and leechers. So basically what's happening is when you're listening to somebody's podcast now on CastGarden, you're getting that stream sent to you from multiple peers, multiple seeders, right? It's truly peer-to-peer. And the system that is actually holding on to your files and stuff themselves itself is distributed. So there's really no way to shut it down. And some websites are more decentralized than others, of course. Not everybody needs, a distributed file system and a whole bit and distributed transcoding and all these other things. But for the most part, there's really no way to shut it down. And not only that, but you can upload your podcast to one place now, and it gets syndicated automatically to hundreds, if not thousands, of other websites and apps. So think of it like a radio station. If you run a radio station, for example, you want other radio stations around the world to also syndicate or play the same streams that you have going on the main radio station, right?
Yeah.
So like you're playing Joan Jett or somebody like that on your station. Well, a station in Peru or Poland or wherever is playing that exact same song that you're playing on your radio station. So that's true syndication, but served up to all of the listeners peer to peer at no cost. So typically, if you want somebody to syndicate your stream, you got to pay them. Yeah. But in Web3, it doesn't cost you anything. You just have to start using it. So up to one place, and now there's nobody keeping you within their walled garden. Like for example, on Twitter, if you do a Twitter Spaces recording, right? Yeah. How many other websites are actually syndicating that audio feed? Basically none. Right?
On Twitter.
Right, exactly. Because Twitter wants you to come to Twitter only to be able to listen to that stream. Well, in Web3, that's not how it works. Anybody anywhere can syndicate your stream now. And it doesn't cost them anything. It doesn't cost you anything. In fact, you can earn more in a decentralized way as a podcaster. And even as the people who listen to the podcast, they can start leaving comments on it, chatting about it, stuff like that during your podcast and after the podcast. And those people also your listeners can actually earn money by listening and by commenting and by contributing some valuable comments or whatever about your podcast. So it's really a win-win for everybody on both sides of the equation.
Yeah. First of all, you mentioned about Napster. I think because this podcast is actually based in the Philippines, and a lot of viewers and listeners are actually Filipinos. And what we can like relate to is actually torrent, MuTorrent, if you're familiar. So how it works basically, just for our listeners, is like you can download when you also like give your uploading power. So I think it's also like kind of the same here. It's like the same magic that's running Web3. Basically, everyone is powering how we process and how we access these files. But speaking about Web3, that's also very nice that you mentioned, right? Because Web3 is actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, for me, it's like at a level up, because like the first level is like the state, or let's say a government, a central government, a central body owns everything, and then the second level is like what we have now. Basically, there are like big companies, big institutions, big establishments that actually controls these servers, controls these files, controls this databases. And now in Web3, these files, this data, this everything actually is actually held by the people, actually held by us. So it's not just like a political view, like it's also connected like to libertarianism. Like it's a very, as you mentioned, it's like a very anarchic way. But the magic of Web3 is like the technology is here. It can actually make it work. So you've actually explained some of the mechanisms, some of the things of how it really works. But CastGarden is actually connected. Correct me if I'm wrong again. I think it lives, or it's in the Hive blockchain. So can we know actually about this blockchain, the Hive blockchain? Like, how is this all connected? How does this all work really?
Sure. Yeah, the Hive blockchain is a social blockchain, which originally came from Steam. It was a fork away from Steam. So it became more decentralized. It's basically every time that there's an update for CastGarden or the HiveTube software, which actually powers CastGarden, it's integrated with the Hive blockchain. So that way, all of your content can be syndicated out further and monetized. So in the Fediverse network, we get a lot of syndication for CastGarden podcasters. But merging that Fediverse network with the Hive blockchain network gives you 100 times bigger reach. I mean, it's insane. Like how many websites are out there syndicating the content from the Hive blockchain
Yeah.
ever. So it sounds kind of arrogant, but we're actually the first to have ever pulled that off. So basically what you're doing is when you're uploading content to CastGarden, for example, or just to your existing host even, like Podbean or Google Podcasts or Deezer or someplace like that, CastGarden will automatically import it, transcode it, and syndicate that content out to the Fediverse and the blockchain now, the Hive blockchain networks. So you're getting the best of both worlds now. You're getting the huge, ever-growing Fediverse network. We've probably heard of Mastodon.
Yeah.
That's like another kind of a social media thing, but it's not based on blockchain. And then the Hive blockchain, which does something similar, but it's more decentralized. It's an immutable system, and it monetizes the content for you, the podcaster, and also for all of the listeners who are commenting and stuff like that on your podcast. So yeah, it's kind of a roundabout way of explaining it, because it's if you go to the cast.garden website, for example, and you go to the bottom left-hand corner of the CastGarden website and you click on About, and then from the About page on CastGarden, you click on Network.
Yeah.
At the top there, you'll see the hundreds of websites and various communities that are syndicating your podcast. So that is, it's better to see it visually like that, because then you understand, like, holy moly, man, there's like in many of those communities, for example, and this is just on the Hive blockchain, there's thousands and thousands of subscribers in those communities.
Yeah.
So your podcast now gets blasted out to individual communities like this, as well as the Fediverse. Now, because all those websites that are in the Fediverse are also syndicating your podcast. And all of that syndication literally costs you nothing. So you're getting massive exposure just for using CastGarden, basically, and monetized, and nobody can stop your income.
Yeah.
For example, if you're posting videos on YouTube or something, right? How many times have you heard at this point of people getting demonetized and banned on YouTube? A lot, right? It's prevalent. So with this system, you don't ever have to worry about that anymore. Those days are over. This is Web3.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, Web3 is really like giving power to the people, and actually, in this context, giving power to podcasters. I'm actually very interested to join. I'm not sure of the proper term, but to join like CastGarden. But yeah, you said it right. Actually, another amazing thing with the Hive blockchain, I actually have a Hive wallet now, so I just did it yesterday.
Sweet. Yeah.
And first, I actually like how it's done, and second, I actually like how I mean, it's very easy. It's actually very easy to create my own Hive wallet. So I think that's because like the problem with why some people hesitate to try out Web3 projects is they think it's very complicated. But if developers like you do it this way, like it's very easy, interface is very good, it's actually very enticing as well to try out these products. But anyway, you've also mentioned that with CastGarden on the Hive blockchain, there are actually two like major advantages. First, the exposure, and second, the monetization. I'm actually very interested on those two things, and I think many other podcasters out there are also interested in that. But before we go there, can I just ask, like, what's the state of CastGarden now? Like, what podcasts, how many podcasts are in CastGarden, and how about you? I mean, do you listen to the podcasts in CastGarden?
Oh yeah, every day.
Mm.
So yeah, the CastGarden website itself is pretty new, actually, only a couple of months old.
Mm.
But already we've got the I don't know if I should call him the Podfather, but we've got some pretty major guys, the inventors of podcasting, basically,
Mm. Wow.
on CastGarden already.
Wow.
So you can check out Todd Cochran, Rob Greenlee. There's also Jay Bravo, Crow 777. I mean, we've got these are guys with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers,
Mm.
right? So
Wow.
that was a major milestone for us. I mean, like I said, we've only been out for a couple of months. The website's only been up for a couple of months, but we've already got some famous people that are using it, and that's really great news. I mean, this weekend, Ashley, I would say 99%. We completed the new Open RSS. They're called Elements
Mm.
for podcasting. So now, basically, all of the podcasting apps that are out there can now get your stream as well. So this was
Mm.
huge, and it's actually going to be implemented into all the servers in the world, all the PeerTube servers in the world, in their next release. So that's another huge point of this. So yeah, for live streaming and monetization and being able to actually send money or upvotes, they're called, to monetize your podcast through all of those individual apps as well. So right now there's what's called value for value, which allows you to send Bitcoin,
Mm.
and now Hive can be sent as well.
Mm.
So this is a cool thing, because you just mentioned a minute ago that you had set up a Hive wallet. This is something that people need to understand, is when you register your username, like for Startup Podcast PH, for
Yeah.
example, right? If anybody sends any Hive or upvotes or likes, like when you click like on somebody's podcast,
Yeah.
that has power. That upvote that you give to somebody, a podcaster, or even just another listener who happens to be commenting on it, has value to it. It might be half of a cent, or it might be $5. Who
Mm.
knows? It just depends upon how much Hive power that you have. Okay, so when everybody starts out on the Hive blockchain, everybody starts out with nothing. Okay, so you're
Mm.
going to have 0 cents sitting in your account. But the more people that upvote you and
Mm.
share your work and share your podcast, the higher your reputation score goes, and the more you start to earn.
Mm. Okay.
So, and it builds on itself in that way, and it's really awesome, because you can't just purchase a good reputation. You got to earn it. And this is
Mm.
one thing that I really love, because you can't have these guys just coming in and saying, "Oh, well, I'll just purchase $10 million worth of Hive, and I'm number one on the blockchain now, and nobody else gets seen, and I'm always number one on trending." And it doesn't work like
Yeah.
that. You got
Yeah.
to earn it. So, and this is what's cool, because what happens is if your podcast is better than other people's podcasts, you should move up to that number one spot on trending.
Yeah.
It can't be faked.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, this is a big problem in like some. I'm not saying like most content creators do that, but it's actually a big problem that like you can buy to get up on the charts. I mean, you can if you're
Yeah.
rich, you have a big advantage. But it's true that like mechanisms like this can actually really bring out like the merit. For instance, like those those content creators or those podcasters who are really who have really, I mean, who really are liked by people, they really go up. And
Yeah.
you cannot influence that with money. Because sometimes.
Exactly. On
Yeah.
this, you can't do that. So, like for example, if you go to the CastGarden website and click on trending,
Mm,
you'll see that page is run by an algorithm, and that algorithm cannot be influenced
yeah.
through how much money you're getting or anything like that. And there's no ads either. This is the other. Oh man, this is what I love most about the Hive blockchain, is you're not always slapped in the face with somebody's ads. Where you have to always have an ad and somebody has to play ads just to make ends meet, just to pay their bills. In this system, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
If you build a quality podcast with good quality sound, put up a decent thumbnail image for your podcast, and people start clicking on that like button, that little heart, you start earning money. And if nobody's clicking on that little heart, then you suck or something. You know what I mean? Like, you need to have quality content that people actually want to listen to.
Mhm.
And this is what's cool, is on that trending page, it can't be faked. The people who are getting the most upvotes and the most views, these are genuine, unique views too from around the world, right? That's what bumps your podcast up to that number one spot on the trending page. Not because you are earning more money or anything like that. Money has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. I actually also hate ads. I never, like, in this podcast, I never put
Totally.
ads in the middle of the conversation. I really don't like that, because for me, ads are like taxation. I mean, it taxes your
Yeah.
it taxes the listener's energy. So
Totally.
I mean, personally, I don't I'm not a fan of that. But anyway, yeah, this is actually very interesting, and I'm actually very interested to have Startup Podcast PH join the CastGarden network. I'm not sure how you call this. So you can also like invite maybe there are listeners who are also podcasters, content creators. So maybe you can like invite them and just tell them how can they join and what really are like all the advantages or all the problems that can be solved if they join CastGarden.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's no KYC. So we don't require your email address or a selfie or a phone number or anything at all. All you need is just to have a Hive username. So once you're in Web3 and you have that Hive username, right, then you're in. So just go to the About page on cast.garden. And then at the top of that About page, you'll see a button that says Contact Us. It's a big green button at the top of the page. Just click on that, and that'll send us an email. From there, we'll ask, for your avatar image and a thumbnail image for your channel, just some basic information like, okay, well, how do you want it to look? And we'll just put those images up there. It only takes us a couple of minutes to set it up. So, but it's super easy. Just go to the contact us page. Let us know what the name of your channel should be and an avatar image, and that's just about it, really. Oh, and then if you already have a podcast, where do you want the CastGarden network to actually import from?
Oh.
So if you already have an RSS feed out there somewhere, or you're on Deezer or Podbean or Spotify or Google Podcasts, whatever, let us know what that URL is, that address. All right. And then we'll plug that into your account. So that way you don't even have to log into the CastGarden site ever again if you don't want to. The CastGarden site will just automatically import from that existing location and then syndicate it out from there to the Fediverse and the blockchain communities. So really, it's pretty awesome for the podcaster because it's literally no extra work on your part. Just keep doing your thing and keep uploading where you upload, and CastGarden will just automate everything for you.
Amazing. I'll do that now.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's super easy.
yeah, this
But if you don't upload anywhere already, like Google Podcasts or Deezer or Podbean or whatever, if you don't upload anywhere else right now, that's fine. Then just start uploading directly to the CastGarden site, and we'll send you a login.
Yeah, so yeah, actually this podcast is in Spotify, so I think I can easily go to. I mean, I can easily also join CastGarden just by the RSS feed.
Yeah, exactly. Because Spotify, Spotify, I don't think they offer open RSS. They're like another walled garden, in my opinion. But the CastGarden site uses the HiveTube software, which can actually scrape content right off of Spotify, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, let's talk about the development. I mean, because you're the founder and you're also the developer of CastGarden. So I'm actually very curious about how these things work behind. I mean, Did you code this from scratch? I mean, how was the experience like making this whole thing? And maybe how different is it from other? I mean, how different is a Web3 project? I'm not really sure with the terms. I mean with Web3. So how different is how different is code building a Web3 project like to a non Web3 project, and also the algorithm that you've mentioned earlier. So who makes that algorithm? That I mean the algorithm that like brings the podcast the content to the top if people like it. So how are all these things made?
Okay. So there's a couple of different pieces here. First of all, if you go to hive-tube.com or hive-tube.com, you will see a description of the software that actually runs the CastGarden website. So HiveTube is a free plugin for PeerTube servers. PeerTube is a huge community. They are one of many different apps that run on ActivityPub protocol, right? So if you go to fediverse.party, you will see the many different apps, including PeerTube, that run on the ActivityPub protocol. And we like to call that the Fediverse. It's a big network of distributed apps. Okay, so HiveTube, we built this plugin for PeerTube servers, which connects PeerTube servers to the Hive blockchain. So HiveTube is our invention, and it does the work of doing the syndication and the monetization via the Hive blockchain, and then connecting all that content to the Fediverse network. Okay, so it's me and a bunch of guys here. I'm the lead blockchain developer, but there's other guys that work here too at Agorise. But so basically what we did is we built a few sites. Like the very first one that was ever built as a website called vigilante.tv, and they do alternative news and stuff like that. Then there's a website called btunes.tv, like you know, B like bzz, you know, a B, but for cartoons. So TOONS. So if you go to btunes.tv, they specialize in animation and cartoons and stuff like that. So if you like watching cartoons, or if your kids like watching cartoons, get them on btunes.tv, and they also can start earning some Hive coins. And then the next one to come out was CastGarden, of course. There's another one coming out called Permalife, and there's hundreds of others. I haven't tracked down like all the different ones that are out there right now, but at the moment, we actually just hit a new all-time high yesterday of over 800 websites per week that are installing this. So, I mean, basically, people are running away from the walled gardens like YouTube and Spotify. So it's pretty sweet to see this, because it's an organic thing. I mean, we don't, other than me, this is like the second podcast that I've ever been on in my life. I'm not really a podcaster myself. I'm a developer. So, but it's pretty awesome that basically with no marketing, we have already taken this whole Web3 thing by storm. So, and we're the first to plug it into the Fediverse, which just, I don't even know if you can call it Web3 anymore. You would almost like refer to this as Web4, because this is just over the top of what anybody else has ever done. So
actually, yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I mean, there's Web3 and there's true Web3, so maybe that's Web4.
Totally. You know, that bugs the hell out of me, because there's so many people saying, "Oh, Web3, we're decentralized and blah blah blah." Like, dude, no, you're not. I mean, your system is sitting on an Amazon server. It's not decentralized at all. You're relying on Google Play to distribute your content. It's closed source, and so on and so on and so on. You're not Web3 at all. You know what I mean? This is why it bugs me. That's a pet peeve that I have, is like all these people that are saying that they're decentralized, and no, you've just basically created another walled garden, but you connected it to Hive. Well, whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean? That's still not decentralizing your back end or your front end at all.
Yeah.
So
I have a question actually. Why Hive blockchain? I mean, I mean, there are many blockchains out there. I mean, there are many like
yeah,
yeah,
totally. Well, me personally, I love Hive because it's super fast. I mean, they have 3-second blocks, but you'll get a confirmation in less than a second, and it's free. So a lot of most blockchains, they charge you if you want to, like a miner's fee or some kind of a transaction fee. If you just want to
yeah,
interact with the blockchain in some way. However, the Hive blockchain is totally free. So as more and more value is created and more people start using Hive and earning Hive and buying Hive, the value of the Hive token continues to go up. So when that happens, you're earning more and more. It's I don't know how it's basically a system that pays you for actually working. Whereas some of these blockchains, well, many of them, it's not, their use case is more or less, well, we're a store of value and this and that, but I really don't see it in such a positive light for many of those blockchains because
yeah. I got it.
you're not earning anything. Are they paying you anything to hold their coin?
Yeah, there's no incentive
No.
actually for the people to actually like do all of these decentralized things. I mean, if
Yeah, I
it's like
mean,
the incentive part. It's like the incentive aspect of anarchy of anarchy and like
yeah, totally. I mean, if you're not working, if you're just going to sit there and like, oh, I'm a rich guy now, I'm just going to live on these gains forever. Well, nothing goes up forever. Nothing.
yeah,
So everything moves in cycles, right? So if you're not contributing some kind of value, why should this network continue to pay you?
yeah, that's true.
It doesn't make any economical sense. At least to me, it doesn't. So you need to contribute some kind of value to this world if you're going to continue to earn some kind of value.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically Hive is the blockchain and Agorise is like the company. I mean, whatever, however you call it. And you build these apps, these projects in the Hive blockchain, like under the name of Agorise. So you have CastGarden, and maybe in the future you'll build much more projects. Is that right? Is that right? Can we just like put it out there?
Yeah, well, we collectively refer. I mean, Agorise is a limited company that's located in Cyprus, but we just collectively refer to ourselves as the Agorise Group because we're. I mean, what is Agorise? The word itself means the rise of agorism,
Mm.
right? So that's where the name actually came from. But basically, all of us guys and a girl, we work together to build this kind of stuff that renders the old constructs that we are enslaved to right now obsolete. We don't have to fight them. We don't have to go protest and whatever because those bankers leaning out their windows just laughing at us, right? So let's build systems that render those kind of people obsolete.
Yeah.
Right? Let's leave their construct and their walled gardens forever. And this is one of many ways of doing that is by contributing value, whether you're a podcaster or a vlogger, a video creator or whatever. Create something, or even if you just like to blog or write, or you're a photographer and you like to take pictures and whatever, put that stuff onto the Hive blockchain and you can actually earn money for doing that.
Yeah.
And this is what's so revolutionary about this is you don't have to rely on some company, giving you your ad revenues from, like I've actually trained my eyes to not even see ads anymore. I don't know about you, but we have, you've got ad blockers now on your browser. Billboards that you see on the side of the road. I don't even notice them anymore because we're so tired of ads. Well, with this system, you don't need to sell out to advertisers anymore. You just need to contribute the value that you've always created and get paid for it.
Yeah, but here's the question, Ken, because I mean I think we have to admit that right now in like in this whole in the whole world, for example, only a few people recognize this big problem, like this problem of walled garden. So my question is
Yeah.
actually like what was the push? I mean, first of all, like why or what was the push that made you form that group that wanted to to spread Agorism, to like build all of this.
Mhm.
So like, what was the start? What was basically the start of all these things? I I really want to know like about. I mean, what was really the push?
Well, the push for agorism, I mean, it started out with anarchy, but I think you see the thing is people conflate the term anarchy with chaos. Anarchy is not chaos. All anarchy means the word anarchy, for example, just means without rulers, right? I don't have a ruler, and I will never vote to have my will forced onto you. And I hope that someday you and well, not you specifically, but you other people who vote for government will stop voting to have your will forced onto me. If we can, it's cool because like there's a lot of towns here in Mexico, for example, where there is no government. They kicked out all the politicians. They quit paying taxes. That should be your first step, by the way. Stop paying taxes. I quit paying taxes over 13 years ago. Okay, stop it, because the more you support their wars and their aggression, and they're forcing people to have their will. And so, I mean, every time you vote for more government, you're going to get a lot more government.
Yeah.
This has to stop. It's a zero-sum game. So, and you start using these Web3 tools and many other tools that are out there. I don't have just one blockchain that I use, for example. I also like privacy coins. So I like transparency coins, like the Hive network, and I like privacy coins too. So it's just one of those things. You have to leave the system. Don't try to fight it. Don't complain about, oh, this new president or that whatever. Like, Americans are always talking about their next person that they're going to vote for. And you guys, it's a zero-sum game. What politician do you think actually cares about you? I mean, every time you vote to have your will forced on somebody else, it's only going to get worse, because then those guys on the left or the right or whatever is going to vote next time to have their will forced onto you.
Yeah.
And it just gets worse and worse and worse. This has to stop. And once you realize that, you know what, I don't really need to be told what to do. Okay, I'm a good person and I build things of value. I contribute value to this world. Like in my gated community where I live here in Acapulco, I've planted over 100 different fruit trees. So we're growing enough food here now, or almost, to feed 700 families in this area. And so that's how I invest. That's how I invest my time. I want people to leave the system, to stop relying on their food and their energy and their money. Because as long as somebody else is controlling your money, your food, your energy, you are forever a slave.
Yeah.
We have to stop this, and we have to change and realize, you know what? Screw it, man. I'm going to start producing my own. I'm going to start using these tools that have been built. And yeah, you can still continue to use the Web 2 systems if you want to, because there's still a lot of people there, like on Twitter and Fedbook and so on, or Facebook, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, but when you show all of those people that are still in that Web 2 space, in that sphere, right, that there is another way. Don't say, oh, you're doing this wrong and doing that. No. Just plant those seeds. Show them. They're like, wow, I can actually earn over on this platform too. And eventually I'll be earning enough over on that platform, like CastGarden, to where I won't need the rule of Twitter anymore. This kind of thing. It's just, it's so liberating, and you will never feel the same again. It's the best feeling in the world to be free, to be truly free.
Yeah. Let me say this, Ken. Actually, the big problem is we don't know that we are slaves.
Yeah, I totally agree. People just continue to vote, and it starts out in the classroom, in kindergarten. You have to raise your hand, and you have to ask permission to go to the bathroom, and you have to, that's all indoctrination, and it starts at a very, very young age. We're all taught that this is how it is, and you need to vote now, because if you don't vote, you're a bad person. And actually, If you vote for more government, in my opinion, you're the bad person. Stop voting for tyranny. Because what do all governments do? They control you. They say when you can turn the corner and when you have to stop at this red light and you have to do. I'm sick of it. I know, how to look left and look right and know when it's safe for me to turn my car. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. When a policeman pulls you over, did you know that he actually has no authority over you at all? Even a military person, they literally have no authority over you at all. I used to teach maritime law, so I can also tell you this. These people have no authority over you at all. They only have authority over you if you give them the authority.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's 3 points. One of the things that I used to teach in class was, remember these 3 points. I do not consent. I do not answer questions. I do not have a contract with you. In maritime law, if you answer any perceived person of authority, answer any of his questions, you just gave him your power. Even if a policeman comes to you and he says, "Hey, how you doing today?" I don't answer questions. Am I free to go?
Yeah.
I don't care how nice he is to you. He's there to do one thing, and that's to serve the state, to serve his master. Well, his master is not my master. And that's how I got into agorism, because you know what? I just got sick of it. I don't like being told what to do. I like to build stuff that can free people, not just their lifestyle and their energy and their food system, but their mind. That's what agorism is all about. It's about freeing people again. We don't have to be slaves, man.
Yeah. Nicely put. Actually, I think that's genuine freedom. Actually, I mean that's the only real freedom. I mean, other freedom out there that they say we have, I think that might not be real.
You
um,
were born free.
yeah,
This is the point. People need to realize you were born free. But since kindergarten and preschool and the earliest ages of your life, I'm sure you can remember so many people telling you what to do, like, well, who is this person? Why do I have to obey this and obey that? Well, you don't actually. Are you hurting anybody? Are you creating a victim of any kind? No? Okay, well then you're a good person. Go about your way and do something good for the world. You don't have to just obey because you've been told by your parents or by some authorities, perceived authorities, that you have to obey them. No, you don't. You don't have to obey a policeman. Just remember those 3 points, please, forever. Anybody who's listening to this podcast. I do not consent. I do not answer questions. I do not have a contract with you, verbal or otherwise. Just remember those 3 points. You are free. Do what you like. Just do not hurt anybody. Do not jeopardize another human being. Just be a good person. We refer to that as the non-aggression principle also, or NAP. We live in a voluntary society, right? I will voluntarily do it, but you're not going to force me to do that. You know what I mean? And that's agorism. Now, if somebody tries to force you to do something, illegally through maritime law or common law, whatever, right? Then you have every right to defend yourself as well. Meet force with equal force. If the person comes at you with a bat and you think you're going to die or whatever, you have every right to stop that person with as much force as is necessary to stop that threat. Even if it means killing that person, that is absolutely justified. If you are 100% convinced that a human life, yours or someone else's, is about to be extinguished, stop that threat immediately with deadly force if required. You have every right to do that. If he sees, I don't even have to explain like all the different levels of that, but you have to be 100% convinced. Is a human life right now about to be damaged or extinguished in some way? Then stop that threat. You have a duty, especially as a man. You got to man up and be a man. It's time to save that life right now, no matter what it takes. And I don't care if it's a cop. I don't care if it's a military person. Like your home is your castle, for example. This could be anywhere, but especially in your home too. You have a family to protect, right? Or even if it's just your roommate. If somebody's trying to bust into your home, you have every right to stop that threat with as much force as is necessary. So, anyways, that was kind of a bit of a rant, but I want people to realize that that's what agorism is.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And that's what got me so into Web3
yeah.
because I realized that we can't fight these people. They have unlimited power right now, unlimited resources. Why? Because we're enslaved to their money system and their food and their energy. But we take back those things. We've already taken back energy pretty much, right? You can produce your own energy. Food, you can produce your own food. And now we're working on money, the money system, because with cryptocurrencies and gold and silver, we're taking back that power now in the money system. So their house of cards is literally just a house of cards. They have nothing left to stand on once we take back our sovereignty and we take back that power. Right now is the time. So guys, man up. Girls, find a man who's a man. All right, it's time. So stop obeying and just be a good person. Live and let live. Namaste.
Yeah, that's agorism.
Absolute.
Um, Let me ask Ken about software development because I'm also curious as well. I mean, of course, there's this big push on why you wanted to build this Web3 projects, this Web3 stuff. But how did you get into software development? How were you able to learn? I mean, did you know this beforehand before you got into Web3, or you just
Yeah. Yeah. I learned how to code in the military. So I was in the
Mm.
US military for 5 years.
Oh.
I was also in Gulf War One and Gulf War Two. And that's when I realized what the military actually was. And I got out. But in the military, I met a couple of guys that were also coders, and I worked in a photo lab at that time, and it was a mess. They were taking tarps photos, and just like lots of different film reels would come in, and there was no way to file these systems. So I invented this menuing system that allowed the labs to keep track of all of the different data that was coming in. It was very simple. I wrote it in DOS, which is hilarious now, and it was ugly as hell. But then I plugged it into DBase 4. So it actually became a database driven program, which we didn't even have the term app at that time. We just called them programs. Um, so then it became, now you're building applications. Okay, now it's just an app. Okay, so anyways, that's how it started. So I learned how to code in the military, and then of course I got into websites, and started building websites like everybody else. I made the shopping cart. So if you ever bought anything online, you have to add it to your cart, right?
Yeah.
That was actually my invention. So I can honestly say that I invented the shopping cart. Even Amazon tried to sue me and lost
Wow.
because they came out shortly thereafter with their one-click checkout thing. And all of my inventions, I put them into a little black book, and it's notarized and everything like that. But I have this little black book of my inventions, and I proved to their lawyers that no, this was my invention. I invented the shopping cart. Here it is. Here's proof of use in business, and any lawyer will tell you that that basically trumps all. And so I won that, and then that now actually, if you look up tech9.asp, you will actually see. Last time I looked, there's over 30,000 websites. I'm still using my original shopping cart software
Oh,
from
wow.
what almost 30 years ago now, I guess it was. So, but I got out of the military in 1993, and ever since then, I've been coding and learning and learning and learning and learning. Keep learning.
Wow.
So, and here we are at Web3. But yeah, but it was the military and getting pulled over by the cops all the time and having to explain myself. It's like, what? Finally, I just had enough. You know what I mean? You reach that boiling point in your life. It's like, okay, I'm the frog. I'm being boiled now. What am I going to do? These people have unlimited resources. I can't stop them. They're not going to stop. So logically, the next best thing to do to regain your sovereignty is to just take back control in your own life. Start producing more locally, relocalize your life. So get onto Web3, start using cryptos, and just leave their system completely. Stop using it. But that's what got me to this point in Web3 was just my past, having to deal with this and having to see overseas, like what the military is doing to people. Oh, it's to stop the terrorists, and what you guys are the terrorists. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's ridiculous that people believe that there's some boogeyman in a dirt hole somewhere in the ground that can blow up 3 buildings. And, it's like, come on, dude. All of these charades that they play, it's just amazing that people still believe this stuff. But, to be honest, though, I really think that people are waking up right now, big time. You see so much stuff going around on the internet now and on the interwebs and stuff like that people are like, okay, what we've been told about all of these things is total BS. It's not true. What they're saying about the wars and who our next enemy is, oh, we're all supposed to hate Russia now, and now we're supposed to hate Poland, or now we're supposed to love Ukraine, and now we're supposed to hate the Chinese people, and it's just the stupidest thing ever. It's like, you know what? Number one, turn off your TV. Just turn off all mainstream media completely and start using the alternatives that are out there. Like I mentioned, go to vigilante.tv or go to btunes.tv and start teaching your kids how to earn money right now on btunes.tv, right? Just watching cartoons. Because both of my kids, I have 2 kids, and preteens, by the way, but they started when they were aged 8, okay? And they started earning money, their own money online. But I also use their blogging and stuff like that online because we homeschool our kids. So this teaches them proper spelling and grammar and punctuation and how to earn money and how to protect your private key, stuff like that when you start dealing with crypto, and how to dump your crypto if you ever want to sell some. I mean, there's many different places. Like, for example, when you're earning Hive, how do you buy your local currency with that? Well, there's a ton of different places you could do that. Like, go to swapspace.co or godex.io or stealthex.io or simpleswap.io. There's tons of different places where you can sell and buy your Hive coins, if you want to, and get into your local crypto from there. So, and swap it for Bitcoin if you want, or swap it for Monero or Oxen or Pirate Chain or whatever, some BitShares. I mean, there's tons of different ways to get in and out of these cryptos. It's just awesome, because once your kids learn, it actually motivates you more to learn more. And then you find out, like, wow, I can use the Hive blockchain for posting photos, for posting a blog, for just watching cartoons, and all of these different things that the Hive blockchain offers, and the Fediverse, of course. You're earning money, and you're earning reputation points too, because the more value that you could give to these networks, the higher your reputation scores. You'll notice that when you get onto Hive, you'll get a reputation score. It starts out at a 25. Okay, but some people are gotten over 60, 70, even 80 reputation score. But what that means is the higher your reputation score goes, the more people realize, wow, this person actually contributes good content and or is sharing good content that they find. For example, if you find a post with somebody who created a blog about how to get free energy, for example, this is another hot topic that's going around right now, how to get free energy right out of the air that's around you, like Tesla technology and stuff like that. If you share a post like that and other people see it, they're going to upvote it, and your reputation score starts going up just because you found something of value and you shared it with all your people. Like, people are like, oh my God, I can get free energy right out of the air? Yes. It's awesome, man. When you start looking around at like what's on the Hive blockchain right now, it'll blow your mind. Yeah. So by using these tools and getting your podcast onto CastGarden, these are ways that you can start contributing and earning in these different networks. And it literally costs you nothing. You just got to start using it.
Yeah. And by the way, I checked. Hive is actually listed on Binance because I mean, in the Philippines, I think I'm not sure, but I think like Binance is like one of the most popular places that where people buy and sell crypto. So, we can also actually easily if ever we monetize through our content and earn Hive, we can. I think we can actually easily convert that and use it to buy whatever. I mean, like to buy for any for our daily for the daily
Exactly.
things that we need we buy.
Yeah.
Let me comment, Ken, on what you've said. Actually, I really think it's very amazing that you first of all you know how to code, you know how to build technology, because people build technology, and then when technology actually grows, technology eventually influences how people live, I mean how society runs. So I think it's a very wonderful cycle, people and technology, technology and people. And the people who actually build technology, I mean these things, I think these are like the people who can like influence the future, I mean how the future will run. And I think with how like Web3 technology is being built right now, I'm really very interested in like the future. I mean, if this is what many people are building right now, I mean the tech, the infrastructure of how to have a truly decentralized, a truly maybe agoristic, how whatever you however you call that, a truly anarchic society where no one can force us. I mean, no one can force other people to do things. We have genuine freedom. I think that's amazing. I think if we drive technology to be to for us to live in that kind of world, maybe that's something to look forward to. But speaking of this, I mean, what's really the vision? I mean, are you building other projects right now? Are you building more Web3 projects aside from CastGarden? I mean, can we just know like the future of this before we end the conversation?
Yeah, there's basically the next step for this is to build an app. We've collectively called it Hivecast,
Mm.
which basically takes all of these hundreds and hundreds of HiveTube-based websites like Vigilante TV, BTunes TV, CastGarden, Permalife, and so on. All of these different sites, and it makes them all accessible into one app, so that it's similar to a podcasting app, but it's kind of a bit more like Pluto TV. This less, but that's basically how I've made it look on the front end. But this way, you can interact with all of these different monetized Fediverse and Hive chain sites. So, but that's the next step. But that's just an app. But right now, it's easily accessible from all the other podcasting apps that are out there. Some of them are very rudimentary, and some of them are actually getting quite advanced. So, but the whole point is that they all start using what's known as podcasting 2.0. In that manner, which is basically Web3 as well. Now, once you start using the blockchain and stuff too, so there's really no other way that exists right now to get as wide of a reach as what you can get on CastGarden, because it just doesn't exist. So that's why I built this. So if you want to get reach, if you really want a whole lot of people to start seeing your work, these are just, I mean, individual communities even that have thousands of subscribers in them. That's instant eyeballs and instant ears, on your podcast. So, but like I said, it doesn't matter if you want to do a podcast, or you like to just take photos, or you want to write stuff and put up a blog, or even play games. I mean, there's Splinterlands and a lot of other games that are run on the Hive blockchain too. So if you're just into gaming, then get on Hive. You just get yourself a Hive username. That's all you got to do. To do that, go to CastGarden, cast.garden, click on the login button. It's in the top left corner. And then that login page that comes up at the very bottom, there's a link to get a username. So
Mm.
just click on that link, and then you can register your username right there. And then once you have your username, you can now use that Hive username, that Web3 Hive username, to log in to all of these different sites and apps and dApps, they're known as, or decentralized applications. Okay, so but you got to have a username first. Without that, you can't really use Web3 at all.
Yeah. Let me do. I'll do that. But actually, a few weeks or a few months ago, we actually interviewed Nathan Sen of D-Buzz in the podcast, and I actually got into Hive. I actually got my Hive username through D-Buzz. So let me just mention that D-Buzz is actually like a Web3 form version of Twitter. Basically, it's um short content blogging. So it's like basically it's basically like a Web3 version of Twitter. And actually, the good thing here is like when you have your Hive username, you can easily use first of all the wallet, and you can easily use this account, this username for,
Exactly.
for all
Yeah.
of this for all of these apps in the Hive blockchain.
Yeah, exactly. Just once you have that username, you can log in. I log into DBuzz all the time with with the exact same username that I log into CastGarden with.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out d.buzz if you get a chance. It's like you said, it's just like Twitter. So if you're used to using Twitter, then definitely check out DBuzz. It's great. So
Yeah. So if you want a Web3 Twitter, let's go to d.buzz. If you want a Web3 podcast platform, let's go to cast.garden.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ken. This is a really wonderful conversation. I mean,
No, thank you, man.
it's really packed. I mean, it's really this. I mean,
It's mind blowing, huh? I mean, when you realize like how big this is, and like, wow, we can actually change. And instead of voting, we can actually change the whole structure of the world. Really, take back those three things: money, energy, and food. And we're there, man. Like people are waking up right now to this. And once
I'm,
you start using Web3 and these tools that we have, man, you're free. And remember
yeah,
those 3 points that I taught too. Remember those 3 points, and use Web3, and you're free. You are free.
yeah, I'm actually really amazed because the people are waking up because the technology is already here. I mean, people are building it and it's here. So
Exactly.
yeah, the future is here. Freedom is here.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ken. This is a really, really wonderful conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.